Yo guys, what's going on? It's Uber Jack here with another video for you today. In this one, we're talking about this ongoing saga that seems to be relentlessly never ending, and it's the Uber versus TfL Transport for London, if you didn't know. A saga, I'd like to call it that if I'm honest, because it's just going on and on and on and on, and it just sends a lot of confusing messages out to the public, and I think that's what they're actually looking to do. You know, that's what they want to do. It's a mystery. It's a mystery. But let's have a look at what the news is reporting here. They're basically saying that Uber loses its license to operate in London. Uber will not be granted a new license to operate in London after repeated safety failures, Transport for London, TfL, has said. So I'm really surprised that this whole thing is to do with safety failures. I haven't read the full article yet, but I'm yet to read anything anywhere about what exactly is not safe about Uber. Let's just put things into perspective very quickly. Whenever person A jumps into a vehicle or a car, usually what we're talking about here is some sort of taxi, some sort of public transport where it's just them and the other person, there's always going to be an element of safety at risk. There's no way around that. When person A gets into the car, person B, and they're on their own, there's always a safety risk. It's not like jumping on the bus where there's another 7 or 8 passengers. You may be on your own. However, this has been the case for ages and ages and ages and ages and ages, with regular taxis, hackneys, local operators, always the case. But all you can do as a licensing authority, as a council, as an operator, is have checks available, pre-made checks available to mitigate those chances of any risk or safety being at risk. That's all it is. It's nothing to do with Uber, it's nothing to do with anyone else, you know, because there's another 8 or 9 apps running, taxi-based apps running in London currently. So what's the difference with all those? Like, I'll wait till somebody can tell me. What is the difference between Uber, Bolt, Ola's there now, I believe, Viva Van? I've run off the list, but there's a lot more. There's a hell of a lot more. There's another 4 or 5, all operating. What's the difference? There is none. And all of these customers, Uber customers, are just going to go and are just going to go to Ola or Bolt or one of the ones I mentioned, because that's what they enjoy. The funniest thing about all this is whoever's instigating it in the background, because there's definitely background instigation, whether it's to do with Sadiq Khan or one of his cronies in that sector, or somebody else. Whoever's doing that expects everybody in London to now go and jump into hackneys, black and whites, regular operators where they got to ring up, wait for the taxi, God knows how long, get charged whatever they want. You know, these things are going to happen without a doubt. But let's read on, just in case there's something I've missed. The regulator said the taxi app was not fit and proper as a license holder, despite having made a number of positive changes to its operations. Uber initially lost its license in 2017, but was granted 2 extensions. So Uber has never, ever been able to stop operating officially in London. People, it's always been there. These terms that get thrown out, that loses license, you know, however, you can appeal and keep your license, so you haven't really lost the license, if that makes sense. Even now, after this news today, they'll be able to appeal like they did in 2017. They were given 2 extensions back then. If that happens again, they'll still be able to continue. Uber has top lawyers, please believe me. They have the best lawyers in the world. This is a $1 billion industry, company in a $1 trillion industry. Okay, they're not just going to go away. They've took on many different oppositions during their time. They're used to it. They're the big bad wolf of the taxi game. That's all it is, okay? And that's all it'll ever be, until people change the way that they think and actually go with what the general public, the masses. When you're saying bad things about Uber and things that are not true, you're going against the grain, my friend. You're not in line with everybody else. There's 3 million Uber users in London alone. Are all those people wrong? No. All those people use Uber because they enjoy the freedom that it gives them in order to book the taxi whilst they're getting dressed. They can see where it's going, where it is. It's on the way. They know a price before they take off. They can have sort of favorited drivers. There's so many different features, and this is why it's so popular, not just in London, not just in South Wales, not just in the UK, but globally. That's the key part here. So let's just have a quick read on. The firm will appeal and can continue, as I was just saying, to operate during the process. About 45,000 drivers work for Uber in London, which is in one of the top 5 markets globally. I'm not surprised. Explaining its decision to not renew, TfL said it had identified a pattern of failures and placed passenger safety and security at risk. Bollocks. These include a change to Uber's systems, which allows unauthorized drivers to upload their photos to other Uber drivers' accounts. Bollocks. That sounds like somebody's hacked something. That's going to happen, If it's happening for every single person, then yeah, fair enough. But believe me, getting your documents uploaded and sorted out is no easy feat. So, if somebody's managed to hack into this, it happens. People hack into your bank accounts. We're not allowed to. Well, should we stop online banking now? Shall we? Just because one person's had their, because there's fraudulent individuals out there. It's always going to happen. It's going to happen in any industry. It's as I say, you don't just shut down everything until they can resolve it, because fraudsters stay one step ahead every time. They do. That's how they're fraudsters. Otherwise, they would just be criminals in jail, making, they would have been caught. This is what happens. I'm not talking from experience, guys, of course, but, these people are in every walk of life everywhere. As I say, we're not going to suddenly stop letting people use internet banking and things like that now, are we? It meant at least 14,000 fraudulent trips were carried out in London in late 2018 and early 2019, TfL said. Okay, seems like a fair number, I guess. Suppose so. The regulator also found dismissed or suspended drivers have been able to create Uber accounts and carry passengers, compromising passenger safety and security. Now that is, I'm afraid that is bollocks. That is super bollocks. So he's saying that I can use my badge, my badge that I've got, my private hire license, or anyone else can use their private hire license on more than one account. Bullshit. It's just not possible. Helen Chapman, Director of Licensing Regulation, Charity, said, while we will recognise that Uber has made improvements, it's unacceptable that Uber's allowed passengers to get into minicabs with drivers who are potentially unlicensed and uninsured. Well, they definitely won't be uninsured, because the government has made that impossible for people to drive around uninsured now these days, with all these cameras that the police got, and they're all set up everywhere. I can't remember the name of them now, but they're everywhere. You just can't do it. You just cannot drive around uninsured. London Mayor Sadiq Khan said, I know this decision may be unpopular with Uber users, but their safety is the paramount concern. Regulations are there to keep Londoners safe. Hi bar. Uber said the decision was extraordinary and wrong. 100% it is. 100%. You're talking about a small percentage of things happening fraudulently by people who probably have other fraudulent activity going on, then we've got to shut down the whole system. Yeah, okay, seems fair to me. As he says, extraordinary. It said it had audited every driver in London over the last 2 months and further strengthened its process. Boss Dara, I can't ever say this guy's name, Shawi tweeted, "We understand we're held to a high bar, as we should be, but TfL's decision is just wrong. Over the last 2 years, we have fundamentally changed how we operate in London." If Uber's appeal is unsuccessful, some think it would leave a huge gap in the London ride-hailing market. It would, but there's already ride-hailing apps in place that will take over that. Great. However, Fiona Sinata, market analyst on City Index, told BBC's Radio 4 Today programme, here in London, there would be competition that would fill that void quite quickly. It's already there. It's already there, Fiona. You know. According to Uber, 24% of its sales come from just 5 cities, including London. The others are LA, New York, San Francisco and Sao Paulo. If Uber did leave London, it would not be alone. Uber pulled out Denmark in 2017. That was Uber, by the way, pulled out. They weren't told to leave because of new laws that required drivers to have meters and seat sensors. Seat sensors? Jesus Christ. No wonder they did. Bulgaria and Hungary have also banned it. It doesn't say why. In May, Uber pulled its Uber XL service in Turkey without saying why. TfL can offer licenses for up to 5 years, but it has been more stringent and late. In July, Indian ride-hail company Ola got a 15-month agreement for its entry into the London market, while Viva Van got a 3-year license renewal. Look how inconsistent they are. 15 months for Ola, 3 years for Viva Van. Makes no sense at all to me. In September 2017, TfL declined to renew Uber's license on similar safety grounds, citing Uber's approach to carrying out background checks on drivers and reporting serious criminal offences. Well, the background checks on drivers part, TfL does. That's the funny part. They're the ones who give drivers their licenses. Uber doesn't give people licenses, okay? They just check the licenses that TfL has given them. So, for me, if for that statement that they're making there, that's TfL's fault. They're the ones that do the DBS check. They're the ones that do the health check. They're the ones that do all the other background checks that they want to do on these people. Fair play, because that needs to happen. Because, like I said, there's always an element of safety risk when you go into a stranger's car with a stranger that you don't know. That's why these checks need to be done. But TfL does them, not Uber. So I don't know why they keep saying these stupid things. Uber's use of secret software called Greyball, which could be used to block regulators from monitoring the app, was another factor, although Uber said it had never been used in the UK. Please include a contact number if you're willing to speak to a BBC journalist. No, really wouldn't be. So, guys, what do you guys think of this? There's going to be mixed thoughts. So we found out that the safety concerns is to do with drivers who were banned on the app fraudulently. So they made the fraudulent approach to remake accounts and somehow slip through the net. Do you guys think that's Uber's fault? I don't think it's their fault. I mean, what usually can happen in circumstances like this is once a breach has been found, so the breach has been that this is possible and that they found out this can happen. Once the breach has been found, they'll rework back through it to find out how that person did it and how to prevent it not happening again. And it sounds like they've done that, and if been improving, and then now they've just said no, you're not having another license. And you know, really and truly speaking, Uber is on top of the tree when it comes to things like passenger safety and the most up-to-date technology and things like that. It really is top of the tree. It's been doing it longer than anyone else. It's got more customers, more revenue. There's no way it wouldn't be. So it's just a strange one. I wonder if it's going to happen to any of the other because these fraudulent people that are doing these things can will try other apps, and I'm sure they're going to find loopholes in the other one somewhere. But it's just something that happens, at the end of the day. At the end of the day, what's not stopping let's just say we've got an example here of Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones is a Hackney cab driver in London and lives with his brother, for example. Now, his brother's just come out of prison. Let's just say that. His brother's just come out of prison. He was, he committed a sexual assault on somebody, okay? Let's just say that. He's just come out of prison. Now, one day when Mr. Jones is asleep, his brother takes his car and goes out and pretends to be his brother and takes his badge, takes his car whilst Mr. Jones is asleep, and, you know, basically it has free reign. People think he's Mr. Jones, he's driving around, he's his brother, he probably looks like him. You know, what's not different about that? That happens, that has happened. We know full well that there are drivers currently operating, specifically in South Wales, who operate on one licence, and they're Hackney cab drivers. And recently I had a customer in the car tell me this. They jumped in a black and white. They were given the old speech from the driver about cash up front and this, that and the other, and it was, you know, extremely over the top pricing, as it usually is. And she had a concern, this woman, that the driver didn't look like the person on the badge. So she said, can I have a closer look at the badge? And then he quickly took the badge down because he had it hanging by his rear view mirror, and said, no, you're not allowed. Well, anyone knows if a customer asks to see a badge, you've got to show them your badge. She then reported him to the council and said, I don't think it's who he said it is. Maybe it's a relative, maybe it's somebody else. And the council simply said to her, you know, this happens all the time. Unfortunately, it's your word against the drivers. So basically what I'm saying is the things that Uber are getting caught out for because people are doing, they do anyway with other taxis and other situations, all manners of life. It's not Uber's fault. They do have safety measures in place. They do make it as difficult for these things to happen as possible. But there's always going to be people out there finding a way, breaking the law, essentially. That's what's been done. The law has been broken, and they need to be dealt with by the law. And then, you know, hopefully Uber can, which it sounds like they have done, try to change things their end and you know, stop it from happening. But ultimately, as I said a minute ago, these fraudsters, they always stay ahead of the game. They always do. It doesn't matter which walk of life you're in, they'll stay ahead of the game, not to get caught out. And that's really not a company like Uber's fault. They've got teams of people, I'm sure, working on it. So I've ranted on and on and on, guys, but it was a nice video to cover. Really did want to cover it, and hope you guys took something from it. Please fill the comments up below with what you guys think. Let's try and have some you know, order on the comments. You know, don't obviously just start arguing with each other, because at the end of the day, we're all out to make money, whether you work for Uber, Joe's Cabs, or whoever else. We're all here to make money for our family, and that's all we're trying to do. But anyway, guys, it'll be interesting to follow what happens there, and I'll speak to you guys on the next video. Thanks a lot.